Hey guys, this video is going to talk about Google Classroom and specifically the Classwork tab and all the things. It's kind of long because I just tried to make sure I did it really extensively and in depth. So if you only want a certain thing out of that, I have a few other videos that you can find down below that look at specific things, but I also have some time codes down below that will take you to just that specific spot of this video. That way you don't have to watch the entire thing. So again, it's kind of long. I did that on purpose because I just wanted to make sure it was all very clearly covered and left really no questions and was modeled and had a lot of examples for you.
Hey guys, I'm going to show you in depth this creation piece under the Classwork tab in Google Classroom, just because there's a lot to it. So just hang on for a minute, alright? So when you come to this Classwork tab, if it's your very first time putting anything there, it's going to be blank like this. When you click Create, you get an option for an assignment, a quiz assignment, a question, material, to reuse a post from another class. That's my favorite feature. And then an option to add a topic. If you notice there's a line between the two, that's because topic isn't an assignment or classwork, it's just an organization method. So let's look first at creating an assignment. So it pops up here. This is going to be, we're just going to call this assignment 1. So I'm going to give it a title, my instructions. So some instructions here. And then if I have an attachment, like a Google Doc or a PDF or a video file or anything like that, another link to a website, I'm going to click Add so I can go to my Google Drive and I can pick something off of here to add, or I can come here to Link and add a website if that's where they need to go to get their information, or I can attach a file from my computer. So let's say I wanted to attach one of these, and I can add more files. So let's upload that. Or I can go to YouTube and let's say I want to find, since that one was on Abraham Lincoln, I want to find a YouTube video on Abe. And so just picking one for Abe. So those would be adding an attachment. I can also create my document or whatever straight from the assignment. So for that, I would click on Create and choose whichever one it is that I want. So if I want a doc, I click on Doc. It'll pop up in a different tab. And I would just type in and create whatever it is I wanted in this document for them to look at and do. And then it'll already have it attached there. Same thing with slides. It does it the same way. So it pops up, I make my edits. It's already there for them. Create Google Sheets. Maybe your math or science class, you need them to do some of that. Some formulas, stuff. You can drop it all there and it's already attached. Create a drawing. You get the gist, I think. So it'll be there and same thing with forms. I'm going to do a completely separate video just on Google Forms because there's so much that goes into Google Forms, so be looking for that. But Google Forms, so you click that Create button and it'll already attach the Google form. If you notice this, students can view file. Pay attention to that because once you click up here to save it, assign it, schedule it, you can't change that anymore. So if I want this to be that each student gets a copy, I need to make sure I set that to begin with. Or if I want it to be that they can edit the file, you've got to make sure you have that done before we come up here to this blue button. Okay, so over here where it says 4, if I click there, I can assign it to multiple classes if I want to. I have personally 4 sections for social studies, and while they don't all always do the same thing, there are times where they do, so it saves me from having to do it 4 separate times. I also have this part here for students. This is just a demo class, so I don't have any kids in it yet, but you know, we group our students based on needs. You know, so maybe it's that this is a higher group of kids and my assignment that I'm uploading has an extension in it. So I would only select those students. Maybe it's my ESL students and I've put in some language supports. So I'm only going to select my ESL students. Maybe it's my special ed or my 504 kids that need some specific accommodations, so I'm only going to select those kids and put it in for them. So this is a way that we can use our Google Classroom to provide those accommodations and make sure we're getting the kids what they need at the level that they need. This is also a good tool for the picking my students if you are going to assign like a group project. So let's say me and Johnny and Susie are in a group, then you can put just Morgan, Johnny, and Susie in a group and assign it to them that way, and only they have access to that item. And if that's the case, if I was doing a group assignment and you put Morgan, Johnny, and Susie in a group, I wouldn't make a copy for each student here. I would just make one copy for the group, so like Morgan, Johnny, and Susie's project as the title, and then make another copy for the next group and another copy for the next group. But then when I put Morgan, Johnny, and Susie's file on here, I would put that they could edit the file, and then they can all work in it collaboratively, just like they would if they were working on it in class. Here for points, I can adjust for if it's you know, maybe it's not 100 points, maybe it's just 50 points, whatever, and I can change it if I want to be an ungraded thing. Due date, you don't have to add a due date. That's really your district policy stuff, but if you do need to add a due date, that's where you would come in here and pick what date you want it to be due. If you want to pick a time, I usually don't pick a time, but if I do, I set it to 11:59 p.m. just because, number one, it's real world realistic as far as expectations, like when they go off to college and stuff, things are always going to be due at 11:59, and it's just giving them that extra time, even when we're in normal class and it's like, okay, this is due on Monday. It's not actually due on Monday in class. It's due at 11:59 Monday night. So if they needed that extra reminder in class, they got it, and they got a couple of extra hours just to give them some grace, because we're human. I can attach a rubric if I want. I use this a lot with projects and with my writing class. You can import a rubric, reuse a rubric that you've already done, or create a rubric. So let's look at that. So this is where I'm going to put my criterion. Describe what I expect and how many points that one thing is. So level title, and I can add more in there. All that good stuff. Points required. Ooh, 1. That's all I want. And this would be like 2 points. And so this would be my title. And description. Delete it, click in there. So title for it and description for it, go there. And then I can click add criterion. If I have another, you're going to use complete sentences. You're going to use capitalization. You're going to use punctuation, that sort of stuff. So add another criterion for each one of those. So far this is a rubric just out of 2 points, but that's fine. So we're going to just going to click save. Those 3 dots, anytime you see 3 dots, it's usually to delete or to edit. So I'd click save, and there's that rubric. And yeah. Topic. I have another video where I talk about topics, but topics, I see them kind of as the dividers in a folder or in a binder, or as like individual folders or individual dividers, binders. They really help keep things organized. So this would just be like sample assignment. But for my class, I have, since this was like week 1 of online learning during COVID-19, I put my topics for this week was just week 1. So next week will be week 2, week 3, so on. I teach world geography, so I have a section on maps, a section on continents, a section for Europe, a section for Latin America, a section for Russia, Asia, so on and so forth. So those are my topics, so the kids know. It's almost like our unit title, and that helps them just knowing what we're looking at the moment. When I click, I'm not going to click the assign button yet, but if I click the drop down, I can choose to either assign, to schedule, or save it as a draft. If I need another teacher's feedback on it, I could click save as draft. I would suggest doing that if you're working on a rubric or something in particular, and then scheduling it. So that's exactly what it sounds like. I'm going to schedule it to post in the future. For instance, we'll be getting our next week's lessons in the next day or this evening. So once I get those, I'll go ahead and put them into my classroom, set them up just like this one, and schedule it to go out on Sunday night. And so it'll already be ready to go, and I don't have to touch anything or worry about it. So my focus can be just on monitoring my classroom, communicating with my students, having my web chats with my students, because my assignments are already ready to go. Now if I do schedule it, I can go back in and still edit. The only thing I can't edit is right here with students can edit file, view the file, or make a copy. So I'm going to go ahead and assign, because I'm going to show you the other ways about this. These other types of classwork shouldn't take as long as that one did, because they're all pretty much the same features, just different types there. So let's say we want to do a quiz assignment. So if you notice, it already creates a blank quiz for us. You could delete it out if you already have a quiz made. That's up to you. It also turns grade importing on. I'm going to show you that in a moment as well. But grade importing is you have your stream, you have classwork, you have people, and you have grades. Those are your tabs at the top of your classroom for you as a teacher. And so the grade importing means that anything in this quiz that I can go ahead and say this is the answer to it, it'll automatically grade it and give the kid a grade and import that grade into that student's Google Classroom gradebook. Now, if I have things in there that are like a short answer response, I can give keywords for it to check, but obviously we know from experience it's not always going to catch everything when we do it that way. So just if you do give short answer response or some of those, make sure you go back and do a once over and look at it and make sure that it did catch it properly. I would suggest leaving that grade importing on. You don't have to, but I would suggest it. So title of my quiz, so this is just going to be sample quiz. Instructions, take the quiz. Alright, so again, I'm going to title my quiz and give my instructions to my quiz. So take the quiz, use your notes, or tell them that they can't use their notes, or whatever your instructions might be. If you want to attach, let's say I wanted to attach those notes for them to reference, I can attach them. Just go into my Drive and attach it, just like I showed you with that other assignment earlier. If I need to create something else, I can create it there. Blank quiz already created. There's whatever it is I needed to attach. Turn on that grade importing if you want it. If you don't, again here with edit file, make a file, yada yada. This locked mode on Chromebooks, if you turn that on, basically it means that when the student is in the quiz, they won't be able to get out of the quiz and go to another website. That doesn't mean they aren't going to use their phone. That doesn't mean they aren't going to use things that they have printed off, since we're doing this from home. I think it's more reasonable if you are giving a quiz on Chromebooks in your classroom to use this locked mode on Chromebooks in the classroom. In our situation right now of online learning at home, it probably isn't the most reasonable thing to do, but it's there if you want it. Again, this is all just like the other example that I showed you. So you'll choose, if it's more than one class you want it to go to, choose that. If this quiz I've given some accommodations to, then I'm going to pick just those kids, or if it's got an extension to it for higher kids, then I'm just going to pick those kids. If it's got language supports, just pick those kids. They can use, my school district uses Google Read and Write, which I'll be posting a tutorial on that as well. And they can use Google Read Write when they're taking their quiz so that it reads it to them, and will highlight text and all that stuff. So we use that for language learners, for 504 kids, whether it be 504 for ADHD or dyslexia or anxiety. And we also use that for special ed kids, and I think I said language learners. But my cat is scratching at the window, so I got a little distracted. And then again up here, I can schedule it or go ahead and assign it. So this one I'm going to show you scheduling. So it's all done, it's ready to go. I'm going to schedule it to go out on Friday, and we'll put it at 8 a.m. so they have first thing 8 a.m. They can get to it. And I didn't put a due date on that, and I just realized that. So it's like, oops, I didn't put a due date. I didn't put a topic. So I'm going to click those three dots and go to Edit. And, okay, so I need to put a due date. I put for it to be scheduled on the 27th. So, it's scheduled on the 27th. I'm just going to put it due on the 31st. And I'm going to put the time for 11:59. And topic, this is going to go under sample again. So that's just, I can go in and change that there. If I wanted, same thing with, if I needed to change my scheduled date when I click to edit, if I just click up here to on that drop down box, I can edit that way, or if I want to take that off and completely redo it, I can take it off and completely redo it. So let's say I wanted to change it to the 25th. So next thing we have, so that was quiz. I'm going to push out a question. Personally, I like to use just the stream for asking questions and having a discussion board, because then we can all see each other and we can all comment together. But if you want to post a question as an assignment, this is another way of doing that. So, what are you doing to keep coronavirus from spreading? Answer with, I'll say discuss with your family and answer. And you can choose here short answer or multiple choice. That is the difference, a big difference between doing it on the stream as a discussion board versus doing it as asking a question as an assignment. And then also, again, you can add attachments or create attachments. So let's say I wanted to give them a link to information about the coronavirus and how to keep it away. I could go to google.com, and I just am going to do this, pull this coronavirus thing right here. Actually, I'm going to pull this on this do the 5. So let's say I wanted to pull this link, attach a link, and I'm going to put that was on Google. And I'm not going to give it a due date. Topic, we'll go create topic, and I'm going to call this one discussion questions. And you have the option here where they can reply to each other and where they can edit their answer. I like having both of those checked for sure, leaving on this first one, unless it's personal questions, like in reading and writing. Sometimes we ask some very intrinsic, personal, emotional questions, and so you might not want to turn on where they can reply to each other there, but that's up to you. And so then, again, I can schedule it, I can save it, so I'm going to go ahead and ask it, though. And then anytime I've got a discussion question, I would just push it out under discussion questions. So our next thing is material. These are things that I like to use all year long. So, for instance, one thing I'm doing with my kids right now while we're out with this coronavirus business is this Tell Me Something Good. So this is just posting good things and sharing some positive stuff. And so my kids will come back to it on a weekly basis. So tell me something good weekly response. Do this once a week. And so I can pick which class I want it to go to, pick my students, topic. I'm going to go create a topic, input weekly things, or maybe you want to title this materials, or you want to title it notes, or resources, whatever it might be. And I can schedule it, I can save it, or I can post, and I'm going to post. So now I've got this weekly things, materials, notes, discussion questions, and sample assignments. Reusing a post. This is my favorite thing because it saves me a lot of time. So if you reuse a post, it opens up with all your classes that you have. And I'm going to choose, let's choose my social studies class. This one, Go Noodle from home, because every child should be accessing Go Noodle at home so that they can exercise. So we're going to reuse this post. And I don't need to attach anything because it's all already there. If I needed to change anything, I could. And I'm going to change this topic and put it under this weekly things because it's something they might want to reference on a regular basis. All students are going to get it, and then I'm going to post that. So, super quick, I'm getting it done really easy. And then this last one, topic, so we've talked about that, but that's where I can go in and look at those topics. If I wanted to add a new topic, I click topic and it lets me add a new topic. I can rename my topic from right here. I can reshuffle things. So I want this pinned at the very top, but maybe it was down here, so I can either drag it like I just did, or I can click move up and it'll move it up. And same thing goes for my actual assignments. I can drag and move them, or I can click the dots and move them up. Let's look at grades real quick. So I have no grades right now because none of the kids have done the work, but the assignment that I put that does have a grade, so these two, whenever a student does it, I'll have a grade book here that'll look very similar to an actual grade book. It'll have the assignment in a column, each column individually, and I can click on those and open them up. And I actually went in and added a student real quick. So this is what your grade book will look like. It does not sync with, for instance, we use Skyward. It doesn't sync with Skyward, but I can export the grades and then import them into my Skyward. So I can click up here just on the actual assignment, and this is where if there were any student work, it'll show up down here for me to click on and look at it in another window, or I can come over here and just add my grade in there. I can send comments to the student about his work, and then he can comment back. If I want to return the assignment back to him to make corrections, I just click return, and please correct, look at comments, and he can get that notification and return it. This is the main thing that's parents, if you add your parents, they will be able to see. They'll see when something's assigned, when it's due, if it's late, and if they got a poor grade on it. So that's it. Parents don't have a lot of access to Google Classroom yet, other than those updates. It really works a lot like a Skyward or a gradebook system update. So I can click back and forth between these student answers and back over here straight to the question. And then this is that assignment number 1. So the form, and I can click on my form and actually see the response when I'm in it, looking at the student's response and see what they put. So I think that's about it for classwork. Oh, when I assign work, it'll pop up here on my left-hand side of what assignments are coming up to be due, and it shows that on the teacher side and the student side, so they shouldn't ever have any questions as to what work is done, and they can click in here to actually get to those assignments. Just like I just clicked on it, they can click on it, so it'll show me those things of these are graded, these are assigned, this is my to-do. I can also get to my to-do list from my hot dogs. You see, I've got some stuff on here. So come kind of functioning out of there to make sure you're up to date in what have I graded, what have I given feedback on, and then click back over on these are the things that are reviewed and done and taken care of. And there you go. Best way, just get in it and start experimenting with it, and you'll get used to it.
All right, well, I hope that was helpful. And if you have any other questions or you run into a little snag, feel free to reach out. You can find me, I'll put my stuff down here. You can find me on Instagram and on Twitter. Bye.